Okay, good afternoon, students. So today we are going to discuss our next lecture, and that is all about genetic bases and breeding methods in self-pollinated crops. So before I actually enter into genetic bases and breeding methods, I would like to make familiar to you all with the breeding concept. That means first we will come to know what is actually meant by plant breeding. Once aim of the plant breeding is clear to us, then we will move into the concept, that is the genetic basis of breeding, and then we will talk about self-pollinated species, then methods, right? So actually your today's topic is all about, it is all about genetic basis. It is all about genetic basis and methods of breeding self-pollinated crops, right? But as I've already told you, I think what is meant by plant breeding. So again, I will go into it so that it is more visualized to you all. So before I actually enter into the genetic basis or into the methods by which we could like breed these autogamous species, which are often said to be self-pollinated species. These are often said to be self-pollinated species. So before I actually enter into this thing, which is the today's lecture, I would like to make you all familiar with aim of the breeding, then concept behind breeding, then because we are to discuss breeding methods in self-pollinated species, so it must be well known to you all what is meant by self-pollinated species. And in the methods, we are to discuss only two methodologies, although there are number of methodologies by which we can breed self-pollinated species. But today, since in your syllabus, we have to go into detail only for mass selection and pure line selection. So even I will be discussing the two, right? And today we will finish our lecture with mass selection. If time is there, then I will go for pure line selection also. And within the mass selection, all we are going to discuss today is about introduction. Then what parameters are followed in mass selection, that is procedure. Then we will often learn about its applications, where it is playing a significant role. Then at the end, we will talk for its merits and because even although we know that every methodology is having many benefits, there exist one or two demerits also. So we will often go into the detail of demerits. So this is all about today's lecture. So I'm starting with plant breeding aim. So plant breeding aim, see your subject name is fundamentals of plant breeding. So the term plant breeding must be very clear to you all before we enter into any of the topic. So plant breeding is what? It has a certain objective, that means it has a name, and its aim is to improve the characteristics. That means we are breeding the plant. Breeding means we are going for the genetic modification of the plant. And when we are going for the genetic modification of the plant, we say once there are modification of genetic features, as a result, they are going to be features, there is going to be the improvement of the features. And as a result, the plant is becoming more desirable in terms of agronomy. That means with respect to agriculture. And once it is becoming more desirable with respect to agriculture, even it is helping in the improvement of economic status of the farmers and those who are linked with agriculture, right? So plant breeding aim is what? It is to improve the characteristics of the plant. Characteristics of the plants are to be improved in a way so that they become more desirable, and their desirability is increased in terms of agronomy, and often in terms of agronomy and even in terms of economy. So this is plant breeding aim. So actually we are given one topic, that is genetic basis of self-pollinated crops, right? Genetic basis of plant breeding. But before I actually come into the concept of plant breeding, you know, there are actually two methodologies, two processes which are very predominant. One is pollination like how pollination is taking place, that is mode of pollination, and another is reproduction. These two processes are playing a very important role when we enter into plant breeding. And on the basis of this mode of pollination and reproduction only, we have divided the crop plants into three categories. Very first is the self-pollinated, then is the cross-pollinated, and the third one is the vegetatively propagated. And we are to discuss the very first two. Today I will be discussing genetic basis of self-pollinated. Then in the next lecture we will discuss genetic basis and breeding methodology for the cross-pollinated, right? So on the basis of mode of pollination and reproduction, we have divided the crops into three categories, right? Today I will be discussing only for self-pollinated species. Self-pollinated means what? We used to have a flower, and within the flower we used to have two reproductive organs. Very first one is the male, and another one is the female reproductive organ, right? When we say we have male reproductive organ, we talk for stamen, and within the stamen we talk for the anthers. On the other side, when we talk for the female reproductive organ, we talk for three main parts of the female reproductive organ. Very first is the stigma, then we have style, that is the long tube, and at the end we used to have ovary, that is consisting of ovule. What are self-pollinated species? If like pollination is taking place within the same flower, like anthers of this male organ, they are being clustered on the female. As a result, when male and female, there is mating among the two reproductive organs. As a result, we have zygote, and this zygote is later on developing into seed, right? This is what is known as fertilization, and this transfer of the anthers from the male part to the female part, this is said to be pollination. And self means when this pollination process is taking place within the plant, within the flower, then we call it as self-pollination. And the species into which this self-pollination is taking place, we call those particular kind of species as a self-pollinated species. Because in the species when self pollination is taking place, and this is what is said to be fertilization. So this is the reason self pollinated species are often referred as self fertilizing species. That means in this species the development of the seed is taking place by the process that is known as self pollination. So there is another name for this self pollinated species, that is it is said to be autogamy process also. And the species into which this autogamy is taking place, those species are called as autogamous species, and often they are referred as inbreeders, right? Now, something must be surprising you, ma'am. What are the various reasons like why self-fertilization is taking place within the flower? So if say this is the flower, then what are the reason behind what are the reasons behind self-fertilization? There are actually many reasons why self-fertilization is taking place within the flower. Very first is there may be the reasons like anther and stigma, they are getting mature at the same time. Once they are getting mature at the same time, they will be meeting with each other and they will be resulting into the formation of zygote, which will later on get developed into the seed. Sometimes self-fertilization is taking place because the flower is not opening at all. Since flower is not getting open, there is no chance of entry of pollen grains from outside the flower. So this is also the reason like no outside pollen grains are available to this flower. So this is the reason that for all the time the male and female reproductive parts, they are going to mate with each other. Sometimes it can be flower opens. Flower will open. One criteria we discussed, flower is not opening. But in the another criteria, flower is opening, but it is opening once the self-fertilization has taken place, right? But since flower is opening, so don't forget to remember since flower is opening, there can be certain chances of cross pollination to take place, right? And since the flower is bisexual and it is having both the reproductive organs within the flower, then this is also one of the reason like why self pollination is going to take place within the flower. So all the things that I have described, they are given a particular term like where maturation is taking place at the same time, we call it as a homogamy. Where flower is not opening at all, we call it as a cleistogamy. Where flower is opening, but after the pollination has taken place, we call it as a casogamy. And where both the reproductive units are present, we call it as a bisexuality. So these all are the reasons that are favoring the self-fertilization to take place, right? Now, we will, because we are to discuss today breeding methodology in self-pollinated crops, so it must be known to you all what are the important features of self-pollinated crops. Since you are to proceed with breeding techniques, but bacha, before you proceed for any of the breeding technique within the self-pollinated species, you must be familiar with the features of self-pollinated species. So the features are very clear. Features are very clear. That means these are the species where self-pollination is only taking place, right? See, if self-pollination is taking place, very important. That means within the same flower, female and male units, they are meeting together, they are fertilizing together, resulting into the formation of zygote, which is later on going to get developed into the seed. So this concept is very basic and it must be set into your minds. Now, since there is no aspect, there is no possibility of outer pollen grains that is from the different, say, plant, it cannot enter inside. So this is very clear, like the same units are going to meet together and they're going to give result to the seed, and every time it will result into the formation of the seed, it will be having the same genetic content. Very important. If same all the time it is going to meet together, it is going to form a seed, and all the time, because there is no crossing among pollen grains from outer flower, so all the time genetic content is going to be same. And if genetic content is going to be same, this is only the concept behind breeding, behind self-pollinated species, that it is resulting into the maintenance of genetic content throughout the lines, and as a result homozygosity is maintained. Homozygosity means whatever progeny is being formed, it is similar in its genetic content to its parents, right? So this is the main reason, main feature, right? It is no more resulting in breeding depression, but up to some extent heterosis, that is superiority of features, can take place. And here, sometimes what is there, if this is a gene, then gene is always comprising of two sets of alleles. Say one is capital, that is said to be dominant, another is said to be recessive, right? So here recessive deleterious genes are not present because they are eliminated due to inbreeding. So these all are the features of self-pollinated species. These all are the methods by which we can go for breeding in the autogamous species. Very first is the plant introduction. Introduction I have already told you I think in the last lecture. Then we have pure line selection. Then we have mass selection, pedigree method, bulk method. There are number of methodologies for breeding in self-pollinated species, but we are to discuss in detail only two. The very first is the mass selection, and another one is pure line selection, right? Here are the certain examples where like self breeding with the help of mass selection or can be carried out. So these are the example of certain self-pollinated species. In cereals, these are all are the species. In legumes, these are. In fibers, vegetables, and oilseeds. So these are the examples where self-pollination is taking place, and these all are the autogamous species. So now I am coming to my topic, that is genetic basis of breeding self-pollinated species. Why you are looking to go for the breeding of like what is the base? Why what important thing you found while you decided to go for breeding of self-pollinated species? So the concept is because you are going for self-pollination because there is no change in the genetic content, and as a result of breeding methodologies, we are capable of developing homozygous varieties. That means the varieties which resembles to each other in terms of their genetic content. So this is only the genetic basis of a self-pollinated species. This is the genetic basis. And now I will be stepping towards the methodology. That is very first is the mass selection. Before I actually enter into the procedure for the mass selection, so what actually is meant by the mass? Name itself is indicating mass means something is in very large number. Mass means something is in very large number. So obviously what is here in very large number? Here that something is plants. So in the mass selection, a large number of plants, very important, plants which have similar phenotype. Large number of the plants which have similar phenotype, they are selected, right? Like say this is the one plant, this is the another plant, this is yet another plant, this is another to another plant. But these all plants are phenotypically similar to each other. All such kind of plants which resembles to each other in terms of the morphology, they are selected. These all plants. Here these are not lines. These lines are representing the plants. These plants are selected and then they are mixed together. These all plants will be mixed together so that they result into the formation of new variety. So what actually is defined as mass selection? So within the mass selection, large number of the plants, again I repeat, large number of the plants with similar phenotype, they are selected, and after the selection they are mixed together so that they constitute a new variety. Now I will tell you during the procedure how different plants are being selected, and later on they are resulting into the constitution, that means into the formation of a new variety. Right now this is its introduction, that what actually is being done in mass selection. Now you must be thinking out, like ma'am you are telling plants with similar phenotype are to be selected, right? What actual features are there within the similar phenotype? When we say similar phenotype, that means similar morphology, right? Similar phenotype, we can consider certain parameters for phenotype, and those features are like height of the plant can be considered, ear type, color, size, whether they are resistant to disease or not. So these all features can be considered under, what we say, phenotype. More to these features, we can also consider tillering ability, lodging resistor, shattering resistor, and also the yield, because these all features can be seen physically. So these all are under the category of phenotypic features. But one thing that is to be remembered, because this is what we are proceeding with is mass selection. So whatever population that will be received from this mass selection, they all should be uniform, because we have considered the same features. We selected the plants which are very similar to each other in terms of their phenotype characteristics, right? So whatever new variety they will be constituting, that means whatever population that will be arising from these selected plants, they must be uniform. And you know, when we talk for the uniformity, this uniformity should be more than these original population. This is original population. and this population we are mixing together for resulting into the creation of a new variety. But the end of the mass selection, once we have proceeded for all the steps within the mass selection, one thing that must be ensured, and that insurance is in terms of like whatever new variety is created, it must be uniform only, because no varying features we selected for. So this should also be uniform, and uniformity, if we talk for the level of the uniformity, it must be more than that of the original population, right? But some expectations can be there in terms of uniformity. It can be more or less for height, color, ons, etc. Then variation is like variation in terms of quantitative factor should be there, like it should give a higher yield. Quality wise, it should be more preferable, and it must be able to adapt to the different say environments, right? So here is the procedure I have already told you. Several plants are selected. These all lines should be of same height. Several plants are selected. Their seeds are, what is to be mixed? Their seeds are mixed. And the selected population, it will be mixture of similar looking pure lines. So a variety that is developed as a result of mass selection, it would have considerable genetic variation. Considerable means a bit of the genetic variation. Application, I will come to applications later on. This is the flow chart. Like how, mass selection actually takes 6 years to get completed. It's too long time. That is why nowadays breeding is being attached with say modern technologies also. I will carry the two things side by side so that it is easy for you all to understand. See, these all are the procedures. That means these all are the steps of a mass selection. And when we talk for these steps, then see, these all are the steps which are outlined here. But these steps, they can be modified with say with the as per the desire of breeder. Like he could like see, I let you know this also. This is the basic procedure of mass selection, and that is getting completed in 6 years, right? Don't forget, these selections is not a concept of 1 or 2 days. It is a concept of 6 years. So this is the outline, right? And what is happening in the outline? See, earlier I was representing the plants with these lines, but here the plants are represented as zeros, small rounds. So these all are the plants. In the very first year, what we have done, a large number of phenotypically similar plants are selected. So see, these are the large number. Since on the paper we could represent these many, but we are taking it in the terms of 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, right? A large number of the plants are taken, and this selection is on the basis of plant type, disease resistant. Like we took certain features on the basis of which these plants are selected. And as I'm talking about its number, this in the very first year, the number of plant, it is minimum number is to be 200 and maximum number is 2,000 plants. So large number of the plants are with similar plants. Don't forget, phenotypically similar plants are selected, right? but the number of the plants can vary from few hundred to few thousand. Like 200 minimum can be selected and maximum 2000. This is what is done in the first year, right? Now you must be thinking, why ma'am we cannot select more than 2000 plants? So there are many reasons behind not going for the selection of more than this range. Because see students, if you are selecting too many plants together, then improvements are chances of improvement is going to decrease. I give you a very simple example for that. This, say in your class right now the strength is 58. Suppose your physical classes starts and we say no, in one section there must be 180 students, but it will be difficult for you all also, and even if it will be difficult for us, because if we are taking together 180 students, then looking after each student will not be possible, right? And if we are considering 58 students in the class, then looking after each student is going to be very efficient one. In the same way, if we go for selecting more than 2000 plants, then the chances of improvements are very small. And why we are going for the breeding of self-pollinator species? Because we want to have certain improvements in the plants. That is why we are going for mass selection. And this is what the method of breeding. And in breeding, what we are going? In the breeding, we are going for the improvements. And if very few plants are selected, if I say only 10, we are to start the class with only 10 students. Out of the 10, there may be like 5 are not reporting, 2 are not studying sincerely. Out of that, we are left with how many students? Only 3 students. And in these 3 students also, if anyone got supply, then we will be left with only 1 or the 2 students in the next semester. That means if few plants are selected, then adaptation of the variety may become very poor, right? In the same way, I just hope this example is clear to you all, like why too many plants are not to be selected and why only few plants are not to be selected. Because with a few, adaptation problems will come, and if many plants are selected, then improvement efficiency will decrease. Here, seeds from the selected plants, as I said, after the selection, they are to be mixed together. So they are composite. Composite, it means they are mixed. They are mixed to raise the next generation. This is one generation. That means it is all a talk of 1 year. And then we are to move into the second year, where all these varieties are mixed together. And these constituted variety we are going to have in the next year. That is second year. What is done in the second year? These varieties which are mixed varieties are called as composite varieties. So here what is done? The composite varieties are planted. We actually, how we mixed these plants? We mixed their seeds actually. Now these seeds are planted, and for planted, and after, very important, very first step in the second year is plantation of the seeds. Which seeds? Which are obtained from the first year population, and those population which were phenotypically similar, right? When these populations were mixed together, they were once they are mixed, their seeds are planted, right? Seeds you can show the planting of the seeds in this way. Very first step is the plantation, and after the plantation, trials are to be carried out, and preliminary yield trials are always represented in this form. These long length columns, it is representing preliminary yield trials. Now you must be thinking, why we need to conduct preliminary yield trials? I again give you a very basic example. Your degrees of 4 years, right? And in 1 year, you have to go through passes of 2 semesters. And within like before you actually appear for the final examination, you have to pass through MST1, MST2. You have to give assignment 1, assignment 1, assignment 2, and then you will be reaching to the final exams, right? In the same way, what we are doing in the 1 year, we are selecting the varieties on the basis of their phenotype, and those who are having the similar phenotype, they are selected and their seeds are mixed together. Now the seeds which are mixed together, they enter into the second year where they are planted. But we need to see the plants which actually took together are actually the efficient one or not. That means here in the 4 years, before we actually look you in the last year, we need to see which student is sincere, and your all sincerity, any faculty member comes to know while you obtain these marks, right? In the same way, we need to check that because see students, it is all together the matter of 6 years before actually getting ensure of a result in the 6th year. We must carry certain trials in between also, so that we come to know that in the direction we are moving is actually the one that must be right, because we are looking after the improvement. If we are not checking in between whether improvement is taking place or not, and we just look in the 6th year and suppose unfortunately the results are not the ones as were desired, then it is going to be the wastage of time, money, and even the resources. And at the end, moreover, 6 years are going to be waste, and the land that you are using for these 6 years, here could not be grown anything else, because your experiment is all of a lifespan of your experiment, period of your lifespan is all about of 6 years. So to avoid any misunderstanding, we are conducting yield trials in between also. So here the yield trial is conducted in very second year only. And how this yield trial is conducted, against it is taken a standard parameter, and then features of these features are then like compared with the standard one, because it is always going to give the you the best results only, that is said to be standard. So its results are compared. If the results are similar to the standard one, then we proceed for the next year, right? So in the second year, what is done? In the second year, composite seed is planted, and we are conducting the preliminary yield trial against the standards which are considered as checks, right? Next is all about third to sixth year. This is third to fifth year, right? Here it is fifth year. Third to fifth year. What is they done here? Here also evaluation is continued, and evaluation here we were carrying all the tests at particular location only. When we draw such kind of diagram, this is called as preliminary yield trial, and when we divide it into segments, this is called as multi-location yield trials. That means that the trial is not now carried to one place only, it is carried to the different places, and we need to know like the variety that we are actually creating is actually adaptable to the different environment or not. So this is the reason we are carrying multi-yield trials, right? This is showing multiple yield trials. And if we find like our variety is suitable to all the agroclimatic zones, then we release this variety, and after the releasing this is multiplied, and further it is distributed to all who requires, right? So this is done in third to fifth year. So here trials are conducted. If within the trial that are carried to the different location, if they are found to be promising, then if found to be promising, then new line will be identified and it will be released, right? This is all about mass selection. And in the 6th year. This is the 6th year because it is all a period of 6 year. So what we are doing in the 6th year? So in the 6th year, if this line is found to be promising, that means it is giving the same result in under all the agroclimatic zone. It will be multiplied and it will be released as a variety, right? This is all about mass selection. Now we have to talk for certain variations. So I just come back once to this flow chart. I just hope it is clear to you all in the very first year. Again, I repeat, we are in the very first year, what we are doing, we have selected the number of the plants which are phenotypically similar to each other. Then their seeds are taken, the seeds are combined and they're grown in the next progeny. Here we are conducting a preliminary yield trial. What we are conducting? Preliminary yield trial. Okay? And these trials are conducted against a standard. If we are not taking any standard against these trials, then there is no fun of conducting the trials, because you are not going to come to know what results were required and what results were not required. What results were required or not required, these in turns you are going to have information about from standard checks only. So then certain plants are selected, they are moved to the next years where we are carrying multi trials. Multi trials means if one variety is allowed to grow in the Amritsar, then a second is allowed to grow in the Bihar and third is allowed to grow in the J&K. And we need to see all the varieties are performing, they're giving the same result under different agroclimatic zone. If they are giving the same results under the different locations, then that will be considered as a new variety and this will be released, right? And once it is released, it will be again multiplied so that it becomes available with all the distributors, right? So what we are doing, we started from the plants, we started with the plants which were phenotypically similar to each other, and we ended up with a line that is again similar to each other, but it is more superior as compared to the first year plants. This is what is the procedure of mass selection. And again, I repeat, we need to have trials in between the years, because if we are not going through any trials, it may be, the results may be like, unfortunately, we have a population that is no more uniform in the nature. क्योंकि हमने बीच में we didn't in between we didn't go for any of the say test. So there can be, if we are not performing any test in between, then there can be two results. There can be two results. Result one is we are not having more uniform and superior varieties. And result two can be we have more superior and uniform varieties. In this case, we will be happy. But in this case, there will be wastage of 6 years. There will be wastage of time. There will be wastage of resources. There will be wastage of the land, because that land for the 6 years could not be utilized for growing any another crop. So this is all about mass selection, right? So this is all about procedure, and even I told you what is to be done in different procedures. So these are certain variations. Now we come to the, first of all, I will let you know applications of mass selection. What are the applications of mass selection? See, we had local varieties. These varieties are local varieties, because local varieties can only have the similar phenotypes. If we say I need to pick one variety from Punjab and another variety from Nepal, then there will be very difference among the two characteristics of the two, right? So this is the reason like we are picking up all the varieties from local area only. If we go for the mass selection with the local varieties, then as a result of mass selection, there is going to be improvement of land, desi or local varieties as a result of self-pollination. because mass selection is going to improve its adaptability and often it is going to improve its stability. Because this is also very clear to us, like once we start with the similar phenotypic varieties, and after 6 years when we are going to have a superior variety and we are going to multiply it in a higher number so that it is available to all, right? Then this is sure that because the new variety is made up of most of the superior. Because what happens, you know, when we are conducting the trials, if our trials are giving the good results with certain, actually we don't conduct the trial on all together on the 2000 plants. We take a small unit of the plants. Like very first we selected 100 plants, we will go for its trials. Then in the next year we may conduct the trials on 200. That means how much it is possible on that particular number of the plants, trials are to be conducted. If trials are giving trials on the plants are giving the good result, they will be selected. Otherwise, they will be rejected. So it is not like if we started with the 2000 number of the plants, at the end also we are going to have 2000 number of plants only. No, we although started with the mass, we although started with the 200 to 2000 number of the plants which are phenotypically resembling each other, but while coming to the 6th years, number of the plants will be rejected because they will not be giving the results as were actually required, right? So it may be like from our 2000 we are only left with the 500, but these 500 are the ones which are superior in nature. So this is what is written in this statement. Because the new variety would be made up of most of the superior plant lines. That means these will be the truly pure, and moreover their genetic base is same. That means these are the homozygous lines, so they are called as pure lines, right? And as a result of going for the mass selection, there is this is the reason we say there is improvement of local varieties, and even the pure lines will be purified. One is improvement, okay, this is what improvement is taking place. But from 2000 you selected the 500 and these 500 are the superior ones. That means out of this population of 2000 you purified existing pure lines. You out of the 2000 you were not able to purify the lines, but once you went through the mass selection procedure for the 6 years, you could purify from this 2000 number of the plants. Say even if it is 500, you could purify those lines which were already pure line. Pure lines means which were already having same genetic content, but due to the larger population you were unable to identify those lines. That means existing pure line varieties are purified. I give you very simple example for this. Say class is having the strength of 60 students. While at the end going up first year, second year, third year and fourth year. In the fourth year, there will be the students who will be getting the marks in the range, say 90 to 100%. So they will be, although every student is intelligent, if one is not getting good marks, that is all due to the lack of their hard work. I just need to put a focus on the concept, like while coming to the end of the degree, we will be capable of analyzing which students are sincere and hardworking, right? That means in this existing population only, from this existing population, from this already existing population, we will go for the purification of sincere and hardworking students, right? So this is the same what is I mean to explain. I was explaining in terms of mass selection, right? So this is all about mass selection. So we have discussed very first breeding game. Then we discussed after breeding game the concept genetic basis of self-pollinated species. Then I told you various types of breeding technologies. Then we went for the procedure. Then we discussed this application. And after application, I am to discuss the merits of mass selection. Merits of mass selection. Merits means advantages. Since a large number of the plants are selected, because you are selecting the large number of the plants. The adaptation of original variety is not changed, because we say that pure lines which are mixture of related lines, it is more stable in performance, because we are selecting the lines on the basis of their similar phenotypic features. So they are going to give more stable results, and they are widely adapted also. So this is in the very first merit is when we are selecting the closely related lines, those closely relative lines are very adaptable to the different environment. They are giving extensive and prolonged yield trials, and even reducing the time and cost needed, because within the mass selection we are conducting various trials also, and those trials actually reduces the time and cost needed for developing the new variety. Moreover, when we are going for mass selection, that is one of the breeding technology in terms of say in terms of autogamous species, then their mass selection is retaining the genetic variability, and but this method is not more demanding. So breeder can look after another breeding programs also. Demerits: varieties which are developed as a result of mass selection, they still, although we are proceeding with the same kind of varieties, but still they are giving certain variations. Improvement is less as comparative to pure line selection. Here we are not conducting any progeny test. So this is also one of the demerit. Identification, because all the plants are resembling to each other, so identification of plants is very difficult. And whenever we look after the breeding procedure, our motto must be improvement of the genetic content. But here there is no change in the genetic variation, so this is also one of the demerit. So this is all about say your one methodology, that is mass selection. Since time is there, we can go for another one also, that is pure line selection. Pure line. When we call something very pure, if I say any sweet is very pure, what does that mean? Very pure means it is not having any contamination. There is no contamination. And even if there is no contamination, then even taste is perfect, its color is perfect. So number of the features are perfect because it is a pure. There is no milavati within it, right? This is said to be pure line. So, but in terms of breeding, we say pure line is a progeny. Pure line is a progeny of single, homozygous, and self-pollinated plant. Single means one, homozygous means all are resembling to each other in terms of their genetic content. So this is considered as a pure line. If pure line is a progeny of one homozygous self-pollinated plant, then obviously within this pure line, whatever number of individuals are going to be present, those all individuals are going to have identical genotype. Normally, again I repeat students, here we have self-pollinated plant, right? Where pollination is taking place between reproductive units within the same flower. Progeny means generation. Pure line is a generation of single. Homozygous means same genetic content, right? If the genetic content is same, then all the individuals If the genetic content is same, they are going to resemble each other in terms of their genotype, and there is no variation. No variation due to their genetic content, but because genotype often interacts with the environment that prevails around the species. So if they are normally they are identical, but if there exists any variation, then that variation is due to the environment. Because normally there is no variation taking place, and if the variation is, then it is only due to the environment. Then we can say whatever plants are present, which are present in this population, they all are going to be homozygous to each other. So all the plants within this population, they are homozygous. That means they are going to have same genetic content. Because we are talking for self-pollinated plant, and they are going to be homozygous because here self-pollination is only the pollination that is going to take place again and again. So if we say this is the single pollinated plant that is having individuals, and those individuals are similar in terms of their genetic content, and if there exists any variation that is due to the environment, so we call these population as a homozygous. This is what I have described you till now. If we talk for progeny of any single plant, progeny means its next generation. If we talk for the progeny of a single plant, that progeny which is isolated from a population of self-pollinated crop, then it is going to be pure line. That means it is going to resemble as with that of its parent, right? So I just hope these 4 points are clear to you all. And what is pure line? Pure line means if it is totally resembling to its parents in all the features. Basically in terms of genetic features, we call this progeny as a pure line. What is done in the pure line selection, in the pure line methodology? Very first step is the selection. As we selected there in the mass selection, we selected the plants. Here also large number of the plants are selected, and selection is very important. Selection is to be done only from self-pollinated crop, right? And then they will be harvested individually, and we will be having seeds. Now the progeny which are harvested, they will be evaluated, and the inferior will be removed, which are of no use, they are called as inferior. During evaluation, inferior will be removed and superior will be selected. And if it is washed to perform, if it is looped to perform similarly in the different agroclimatic zone, then it is selected and then it is released as a pure line variety. Pure line, again I repeat, there are no mixtures. Pure line means it is having the same genetic content as that of its parent. And you must be thinking, if it is having same genetic content, then ma'am, why we need to go for breeding? Because breeding is always not done for creating the variations. Breeding is often done for not creating the creations, just for the obtaining superiority of the progeny from their parents, right? So what is pure line? Pure line is a variety that is obtained from single homozygous plant that is said to be a pure line. And pure lines are far more common than mixtures of pure lines. More pure line will come, you all will be more familiar with the pure line after going through these characteristics. Like very first characteristics is about its genotype. All the plants with the pure line, whatever, say I say this is the pure line. In the pure line, there are going to be number of the plants, and you will be surprised to know all these plants which are present in this pure line, these all plants are going to have same genotype. Again I repeat, they are going to have same genotype as the genotype is of their parent, right? And why they are going to have the same genotype? Because all the time within the progeny only one kind of pollination is going to take place, and that is self pollination. That means their genotype, if it is there, same genotype is there, then the second is with there is no variation that is going to be present in the population. Obviously, if there is no genetic change, then there are no introductions of the variations. And if the variations are, I already told those variations are not due to the genotype, variations are due to the environmental factors. And again, very interesting fact, those variations which are the result of environmental factors, they are non-heritable. That means even if say even if say due to the environmental factors, certain variations say took place here in these plants, certain variations have taken place due to the environmental factors. But you know, and these variation will not be passed to the next progeny. That means they are non-heritable. They are not transferable from the parents to the next progeny. Third, because all the plants they are resembling each other, so variations are only due to the environment. Therefore, selection within a pure line will generally so if you go for selecting you say this is the superior plant, or you say this is the superior plant, this is not going to be an effective concept, because there is no variation taking place, and even variation is due to the environment, that is non-heritable. So you cannot say this plant is more effective or this plant is more effective, because all are resembling to each other in terms of their genetic content. So these are the some of the characteristics of pure lines. Yeah, this can be there when you are selecting the plants again and again. Then with the time variations can be there. With the time, because you will be harvesting. Once you have selected the pure lines, they will be harvested. And after harvested, you will receive seed that will be mixed together. But while you will go for the processing of the seed, no, there can be certain variation as a result of mechanical mixing, natural hybridization, due to the rough handling, or mutation. Variations will not be due to the genotype, or variations are not going to be due to the environment. But yeah, at the time of the harvesting, when you are going for the selection of you are going for the processing of the seed, at that particular timing a certain contamination could enter into the seed. For example, like the floor where you harvested say seed 1, the same floor is often used for the harvesting of seed 2. If you didn't clear the floor that was earlier used for the harvesting of seed 1, there may be left certain remnants of the seed 1, and that may get mixed together with the 2. And these are only the cases where variation could take place. Normally there are no variations, again I repeat, but if variations are taking place, those variations may be due to the result of these mechanical mixing, natural hybridization, or mutation, right? So these all are the characteristics of pure lines. So what are the uses of pure lines? Uses are very clear. If as a result of the pure line selection at the end, if you could go for the selection of a superior pure line, then it can be multiplied at a larger scale. That means it can be used as a commercial variety. These parents can be used in the hybridization program, where this particular parent with superior feature can be crossed with another parent containing the desirable features, so that the further new varieties could be developed. As I told you, normally there are no variations, but with the time variations could take place. So in these cases, you will get a chance to have a knowledge about mutation, like how mutation took place, why it took place, what were the reason behind mutations to take place. So you could carry a study on mutation also. And in spite of all these factors, other studies can also be carried out, like biological investigation, such as in medicine, immunology, physiology, because agriculture is not a single discipline. It is connected to other disciplines also. So we could we could go for the study of another parameters also along with this breeding aspect. Then the next is applications of, again, because we are starting with the similar number of the plants that is same in the genotype, and since at the end variations could be due to the result of mishandling or say mutations or mechanical mixing, so what we can do, we can again improve the local varieties. For example, NP4, NP52 wheat, these all are the examples. These are the pure line selection from old varieties. Similarly, these are collected from Bihar, and it shows an acceptable level of field resistance to a disease that is known as, that is called by yellow mosaic virus. Then pure line selection in introduced varieties. Then Kalyan Sona, it is from an introduction from CIMMT, that is one of the institute present in Mexico. So you could often go for the improvement of old pure line varieties. These all are the examples. You can go for the selection of new characteristics in a pure line. Selection in the segregating generations from crosses. And now I will be talking for pure line selection flow chart. It is also almost similar to mass selection only, but in some parameters it will be different. It is see, you need to remember the generations. Like mass selection was getting completed in how many years? 6 years, but it is getting completed in how many years? 7 years. So here also there we took the number of the plants from 200 to 2000, maximum 2000. But here the number of the plants can be 200 to 3000, right? There we in the very next generation only, what we did, we directly conducted preliminary yield trials. But here, before conducting the preliminary yield trial, individual plant is checked here. Then again we are carrying the multiple yield trials. That multiple yield trials means the trials which are carried at a different locations, and finally if we found promising variety, it will be released and it will be multiplied, right? Although it is same only, just you need to accept like this is the extra step that is conducted here, right? And here in spite of multi-location yield trial, multi-location means the trials which are carried at different locations, many locations. Yield trials means the trials which are conducted with respect to see the yield, right? And here one more test is carried, quality tests are carried, and even we want to see like when any variety is introduced to the newer area, is it resistant to the diseases that are prevailing in that particular area or not? So disease resistant aspect will also be seen here. So if I go through the introduction of this scheme, then it is as like this. But you know, you are not limited to conduct this. You are not limited to conduct this pure line methodology in 7 years only. You could extend it to the 8 year. You could reduce it to the 6 year. But it all depends upon the like the desire of the breeder. If breeder finds like in the beginning only he or she is finding like the results are in the positive direction, then he could reduce 1 or 2 years. But if a breeder is feeling like results are not as expecting one, he could more extend this methodology. That means from the 7 years it could go to the 9 years also. This is the normal representation of the pure line selection, but number of years can be increased or decreased as per the desire of breeder. It has 3 steps. See what 3 steps are there. One is selecting, then you are evaluating the best one, and then you are conducting the yield trials. These 3 are only the steps that are found in pure line selection. So this is the diagrammatic explanation. Just a minute. So in the step 1, what is done? How many plants are selected? 200 to 3000. And these plants can be selected, the feature can be, it can be a desi variety, it can be local variety, it can be a variety with certain genetic variations, but from the homozygous population only it is to be picked. Once a variety is picked, then its seeds are harvested, and each seed is, this is called as a single planting. Each individual, this is said to be individual plant progeny. Each seed will be planted, and its growth will be observed to see whether it is giving the same results or not. Proper spacing is to be done among these individual lines, and then these are to be observed and evaluated. How many number of the plants are to be selected from from the range 200 to 3000? This is again the as per the interest of breeder. Now in the step 2, what is done? This is all about step 1. This is step 2. The progenies that are from this individual plant, when this individual plant will be grown, it will give the next generation. Those all next generation will be grown separately. That means all the generations are to be they are to be grown, but with equal spacing. And then they are to be evaluated. Here also evaluation is being done. It is written undesirable progenies are rejected. When you will go for individual planting of the progeny, you will observe this one is good, this one is not. So again, inferior are to be selected, and see, rejection is to be done of poor, weak, defective, right? And certain features which are to be taken care of in the second year while evaluating the best varieties are plant type, plant height, grain type, air characteristic, flowering, maturity times, etc. Then here certain tests can also be conducted, like disease epiphytotic, like to know whether the plant is being affected by a certain kind of disease or not. Actually, we introduce the disease and then we come to know a plant is being affected or not. If it is not being affected, then it is very good, and that particular variety will be selected. But if it is being affected, then we need to discard that particular variety. Then is all about step 3. This one, third year. See, if while reaching up to here, if the seeds, number of the seeds are not enough so that we could conduct the replicated trial, then from these varieties, the one that is performing to the best, because sometimes we are not getting the standard variety at that particular time only, then what we need to do, the one that is performing well from these varieties only, that itself will be considered as a check, and all the features will be compared with respect to that particular superior variety. This is done in third year. Case 2, this is what we said. If we are not having a standard variety, standard variety is the one that is taken as a test. Say, if I am not available, but I have delivered the lecture. Then if you people say, you tell me to ma'am, again repeat the lecture, and if say I am not available, then one among you who has understood the lecture very clearly could also go for the explanation. This is the case 1. If the individual plant progenies are not enough, then the best can be chosen as a check, and it can be chosen as a check for comparing all the features. This is the case 1 that is to be done in step 3. But in case we have a efficient number of the plants, this is the case 2 if enough seed is available. If enough seed, that means if you say me to repeat the lecture and if I am available, obviously I will be going for the repetition of the lecture. In that case, you need not to ask any among you to go for the explanation of the lecture. That is when enough seed is available at that particular time, we carry a preliminary yield trial. right? There we need to conduct this preliminary yield trial. And again here, the one that will be weak, not giving the best result, they will be rejected and another one will be selected. Now we talk about the 4th year. This is the 4th year. Here again, what is carried? Very first, we are conducting replicated yield trials. Replicated yield trials means these are conducted by the breeder. And how these are conducted? By choosing the best available variety as a standard. Standard is often called as a check. And here the observations will be taken by considering these parameters like observations are to be conducted against the parameter like disease resistant, flowering, maturity times, and other characteristics. And the best is to be identified on the basis of yield data. Superior progenies are identified, and the quality test can also be conducted. The best progeny will be considered as a strain, and the promising one will be further taken for the evaluation, right? So here in the 4th to 6th years, we are carrying multi-location yield trials. Now we come to the 7th year. This is all about 4th. In the 4th, we have talked about 4th to 6th years. Now number of the years they can increase, decrease depending upon the interest of the breeder. So here the best progeny will be released as a new variety and then it will be multiplied. See, best progeny is chosen and it is multiplied so that it is available with everyone. So this is all about say pure line selection. What are the advantages in this pure line selection? Like maximum improvements can be done over the original variety, and they are going to be more liked by farmers. And identification is all on the basis of extreme uniformity. But there are disadvantages like adaptation and stability is no more present in such kind of pure lines. It is too much time consuming, space acquiring, and we need to conduct the yield trials which are very expensive. Even than that of the mass selection, because here I told you number of trials we are conducting. How much genetic variations could be more introduced in these pure lines? This in turn is controlled by the genetic content of the original population. And very tough task is like breeder has to give more time. See, there we were devoting 6 years, here we are devoting 7 to 8 years. And when a person is all occupied for 7 to 6 years for a particular breeding methodology only, then this is leaving no time to such kind of a breeder so that he could even look after the new technologies or new inventions that are coming around. So this is the disadvantage. That means a breeder is going to be occupied for altogether say 7 years, 8 years with a particularly one methodology only. That is, he is going to be sticked with one particular methodology, and he is not going to have any another information during that particular time. Okay, so this was all about my today's lecture, and if you people are left with any doubt, we will be discussing after this. Okay, thank you students.